because we have already now proved that we are the sickest nation out of any other developed country in the world. We are the sickest, and we pay more per health capita than any other country in the world. So what's going on? What are we missing?
My mom told me something interesting one day.
Okay.
And this is not, I don't know what causes autism.
No one does.
I have.
Yeah, big disclaimer here.
Yeah. Huge disclaimer.
I have suspicions, just like I have suspicions on like any other thing, you know, like if a bird shits in my yard, I'm like, I know it was a bird. I just don't know what bird it was.
Right.
She used to do the after school program. And they would, and this was in the summers, and they would have all of like the mentally handicapped kids and stuff like that. And she said that when she started that, they had 50 kids in the class and one or two
autistic kids. I did that program with my mom for 10 years.
1 out of 50. And then by the time she left, I think she retired in 2017, 2018, 2019, right around there.
Colton was
out of 100 kids, there was 50 of them that had autism.
Yeah. Well, we know that the rate is going up.
Well, put it this way. When Courtney and I were in high school, it was 1 out of 352. When I went to college to be a behavioral specialist. Psych. Anyways, I wanted to work with autistic children. It's now 1 in 31.
Yeah, it's wild.
And 1 in 20 boys.
But like this is what we were doing though, which is why I left the field. I don't know why you left. But you're in this field.
Too much paperwork.
Well, it was all
I wanted to work with the kids.
Yeah, it was all paperwork.
That's all I did.
And then you had goal settings. And then for you to do your goal, here's an M&M.
Yes.
Here's a Skittle to meet your goals. But now
what do you mean meet your goals?
So
for children?
Each child has a goal.
Children?
To positive reinforce.
Positive reinforcement. You're giving them candy.
Yeah. So that's the sugar and the dye, which is
now amplifying their behavior. And listen, but there's some autistic kids, they're stemming, they're nonverbal, they're hitters, they're biters because they can't communicate with you. And it is the most heartbreaking thing you'll ever experience. So they have all these behaviors and now you're going, okay.
You're adding to their
here's your sugars and dyes. We're setting them up for complete failure, in my opinion. Only my opinion.
I would agree with that.
But that's what they're doing is they're giving these kids candy as positive reinforcement and they're still on the same goals that they were given 5 years ago. And it's just about paper pushing. And it was the most heart-wrenching realization I ever had. I was like, oh, I'm glad I went to school for this.
Do you know what happened in the 90s with, remember I'm a smoker. Nicotine's good for you. It's how the other chemicals that they get in there are not. I didn't know this until recently. Smoking kills, but they had all these studies that said like
new information.
It's the chemicals in it. I think nicotine is good for you. I think all the other chemicals on how they get them in there because it makes it addictive. They put all these chemicals in cigarettes so that you feel like you need to crave it all the time.
Sure.
So it becomes a dependence, a psychological and physical dependence, right? If you just took straight nicotine, whether it's the patch or like some sort of like an Alp, I don't know if you've ever heard of those.
It's like Zyn.
Yeah, like Zyn.
Okay.
But there's actually
not addictive.
Zyn is not addictive?
Not really.
No.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So it's all the chemicals that are in the cigarettes that make you addicted to the cigarettes.
You should actually read the
Okay.
nicotine research. It's crazy.
They knew this.
Interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
So, okay, we're going to outlaw cigarettes, right? We're going to make cigarettes so fucking impossible to get. And we're going to bastardize cigarettes as much as possible, which they did. Like, you know, that you saw those.
Well, they had the whistleblower and remember all that.
Yeah, the Insider. It was like all this stuff where they're like, yeah, we know what we're doing. We're making them more addictive to children.
Obviously.
The cigarette companies started to diversify. The Philip Morrises started to buy other companies up so that they didn't go under and lose their profit margins. They bought the food companies.
They bought the food companies.
And they took their scientists and they took their scientists that said cigarettes are not habit forming, they're good for you, and they just transferred them over to the food industry.
Oh my gosh.
So this happened.
I actually didn't even know that.
Yeah, this happened in like the late 90s, early 2000s. They started buying up all the food companies.
Yeah.
And then they took their scientists and let their scientists be like, I've never thought in a million years that a few weeks ago I would watch the Texas Senate who are trying to outlaw additives in food. And the American Heart Association showed up to advocate for not taking sugary drinks out of Snap.
It's totally bizarre.
Okay, so to me, like that's not science. That's not health. That's you want to make sure that everybody has their Sunkist and their grape soda, and not one person is advocating for like a celery stalk or like distilled water. You know, so like I look at it as like this fractal pervasive problem that happened while we all weren't paying attention because MySpace happened.
Oh, bring back Tom. Freaking Tom.
But that's what happened. We all started paying attention to like MySpace, and then Facebook came, and then social media was this thing, and no one paid attention anymore to like
what was going on.
No,
what was going on, who was buying what they're putting in the food, what they're putting in the water.
I always
and
say.
then you see all these children over time
addicted to
get worse.
Yeah.
Get unhealthy. Why?
Well, you have kids. I kind of think Hollywood's predictive programming in a sense. Somehow you've seen a movie or you've seen a show, and next thing you know, you're like,
you're in the
shit,
show.
You're in the show. So like, if you were to take the movie WALL-E.
I don't know it.
You ever saw WALL-E?
God darn it.
Have I?
So I don't, it's a kid's.
It's the robot that goes to space and...
So what happens is like the planet gets ruined.
Are up there, they're 700 pounds.
They're 700 pounds.
No,
they're in these little things. They have a screen in front of them,
and
then they've got
I'd have to explain WALL-E to somebody.
Oh my god! And then they're all like on their screens drinking soda. They're all morbidly obese, and they're just flying through this little air, and no one knows that life is flying by them, and they're in this. I feel like we're currently in WALL-E.
We're in the movie.
We're in WALL-E.
Yeah, scary.
I'm looking up the year 2008.
Oh yeah, I was beyond that. That's why.
What?
You don't remember? You remember WALL-E?
This little guy, and he was like cleaning the planet.
Disney in 2008.
I was.
No, I watched it after
Pixar
I had
made the
pulled
best
it.
movies. You never watched WALL-E?
You better go home and watch
I'm
WALL-E
like
with
a
Ross.
documentary chick.
You never watched Disney
it
movies?
was.
Yeah,
Is it a documentary?
No,
now it is.
It told
Well,
the
it is
future.
now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a prediction.
Yeah, it was a Nostradamus movie.
Yeah.
All right, Jesus Christ, you've never seen WALL-E?
All right. Homework. I didn't
Homework.
realize I was going to get homework here.
Okay.
Okay.
You have a hard out at 6, right?
I have a what?
Hard out.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So tell me about the future of petite yogi.
Yogi.
Yeah.
The future is.
Now that we've told you all this shit,
Yeah.
that the cigarette companies are poisoning your children.
Right. I'm just going to tell everybody to start smoking cigarettes again.
Well, you could have nicotine.
No.
Nicotine's
Okay,
fine.
Zyn.
Two
Yeah.
nicotine
We're all gonna
guns.
Zyn.
Zyn.
I'm going to give it out in my classes.
There's a lot of people I know that are like, I'll never smoke, and they have like 4 nicotine patches on them
Yeah.
Oh.
But
just to get the nicotine.
just so you
Well,
know, like
the vaping is, I mean, we don't have to
That's
go down
terrible.
that rabbit hole, but that
the
is
popcorn
like a
lung that it's caused,
nightmare.
it's irreversible damage. At least, and I'm not, I don't like cigarettes, but at least your body will repair from cigarette damage. Your lungs, not your body. But I was going to say something.
the vaping,
Vaping
stuff
is-
in vaping is yeah.
And the other thing, you can do it anywhere. So it's not like when you smoke a cigarette, it's like you have to go outside or, whatever. Like you could hit your vape
Anywhere.
if you're a teenager in your bedroom.
I have friends who would like, they crush like, like these crazy things. And I'm like, you might as well just do cocaine. Like it's better for you. Like I've seen some of my friends who are huge anti-smokers are vape psychos.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen that.
And I'm like, you
Make
don't
it
even
make
know what's
sense.
in that.
Right.
You're like, oh, it's watermelon. And it's like,
It's watermelon.
that's not water.
It's
There's no
organic.
watermelon
It's
in
a
that.
seedless organic, obviously.
Yeah, cigarettes are legit better for you than vaping.
Yeah.
And yeah,
But
if you
like,
look at the chemicals-
Yeah.
Anyways,
that's
if you
what
look it
I've
up,
heard
there's
that. I'm not an expert. but
nicotine is in a lot of the nightshades. And what's the first thing they tell you to stay away from?
Nightshades.
Nightshades.
It's an eggplant.
So eggplant, tomatoes, all those stuff. They've
know.
convinced you
All the
it's
things
bad.
I love. I
Well,
love nightshade.
It's all nicotine. There's nicotine in
there's
it.
nicotine in it, but if you look up the research of nicotine is like,
Really good for you.
yeah. I'm not going to say anything else, but there's science out there on the nicotine is like pretty crazy. And I just dabbled into it, so I don't want to talk on it, but
Yeah.
I don't know enough. But it's
Yeah.
pretty crazy. But it's in a lot of your nightshade vegetables, and that's the first thing they told you to stay away from.
Interesting.
Why?
So moving forward,
Okay.
Yeah.